What's going on, friends and family? Thank you guys so much for joining Every Day is a Saturday with your host, me, myself, and I, Brian Roof. Hey guys, another great day, another great episode, another great interview. Hey, I'm super excited to introduce my next guest. This guy is doing some great things for the veteran community. Let's go ahead and give him his introduction. My next guest is a retired Army veteran who served his country proud for 20 years. Since he's been out, he's been working hard at providing a place for veteran voices to be heard by starting a podcast show called Two Drunk Dudes in a Gun Room, and have recently released a radio station called Gun Room Radio, where you can listen to veteran musicians and podcasters. Let's meet Donald Dunn.
Hey, thanks for having me on, man.
Hey, Donald, what's going on, brother? Hey, I am super happy to have you on, man. I always, check out a lot of the podcasts you've been on, your podcast that you got going on. I hear your voice on the radio. So glad to
I
have you
appreciate
in
it, man.
person, man. But
Thank you.
let's go ahead and let all the listeners know who's Donald Dunn and why you joined the Army, what you did in the Army. Give us a little bit of your tour, and then what you've been doing since you've been out, man.
All right. So, me and my wife met in seventh grade, and we got married a month after high school. So, what drew me to the military was I had a family and responsibilities. I recently got fired from my job, and so I decided to come in, and that was in '94. So I came in; it was all peacetime, so it was a different military at that time, and came in and I did my first year was Korea. That was after basic training AIT. I was a wheel mechanic, um, and I came in and did a year in Korea. Then I finally got to be back with my wife, and you know what happens just like after deployments, you get back with the wife and you start popping out youngins, and so we started having kids, and was at Fort Bliss, and I was thinking about getting out of the military. I just it wasn't for me, but the truth was I was young, I wasn't fully developed yet, and so my thoughts was I was getting out, and luckily I just hated Fort Bliss so much that it was easier to reenlist to leave than to wait until my enlistment was up to get out. So I reenlisted to go to Germany, and I think that's where my career really took a turn, man, because I went into I was with the mechanized infantry there. I did my first deployment to Bosnia, and when I came back, um, I was a little bit more mature. We were having our second child, so the needing of medical and being in became a much more uh, requirement. So I started looking at where I wanted to go and what I wanted to do, and so I decided to volunteer, and I went into the special ops community, and I ended up doing 10 years with the 160th SOAR, and I was in Savannah there at Hunter from 2000 to 2010, and then I finally left the special ops world, and I was thinking about retirement at that point. So I went back overseas and came back and ended up retiring there out of Fort Stewart. But total, I did a total of 68 months between Iraq and Afghanistan and Bosnia. So not sure
What
how
years were
in
you over in
depth
the
you wanted
Middle
me.
East? Yeah, no,
What's
no,
that?
man. Get in depth, man. Let us know. Hey, this is a place where we let our stories be heard, man. Let's hear your stories.
All right. So um, Bosnia, man, was a fun deployment. So a lot of people don't know because I haven't brought it out, but I'm in the process of writing a book, um, and it is more so for me to explain to my kids what happened to me and who their dad was because um, by the time they were old enough to know what things was happening is when 9/11 was happening, and it changed me. It's just a fact. That's what happened. And so when I was in Bosnia, it was it was a peacekeeping time frame there. But I was out of the wire just about every day, and I seen some things that was rather interesting. Um, one story I'll tell you. So we were rebuilding the government at that time, so they were implementing new laws and everything else, and the country was really ragged. One of their stipulations was they were trying to get everybody back into the license plates and paying taxes and that type of stuff. So um, I would go out with the scouts and, vehicle we'd have road checks and vehicles that had the wrong license plates, I would tow them with my wrecker and take them to the, impound yard, and, we were out with the Swedes, and, we came across an accident, and, the guy was hurt pretty bad. He was, unconscious, laying on the ground, and, one of the Swedes was a doctor, a medic, and, he was applying first aid. And, the car was halfway up the mountain, the front of it was facing the road, and the rest I don't know how he what he hit, or I mean, it was the only car, so I don't know how he did it, but, when he came to, the, Swede was standing over the top of him, and the guy hit him. And, dude, it was like, an orchestra, and it just everybody raised their instruments, and all you heard was yeah, and, the guy stood up and he walked over to his car, and the A-frame on the, his driver's wheel was just hanging there, and he tried to take his belt off and, tie his belt around it like that was gonna do anything, and, I mean, blood was just squirting out. It was an artery that was cut, and it was just losing blood, and finally, he passed out, and when he passed out, we just kinda looked at each other like, "Man, do we do we apply first aid again, or is he gonna hit us again?" Not that time, the
Right.
Bosnians grab a hold of him and threw him in a van, and I don't know what they did with him after that. I assume they took him to a hospital, but, we went on about our day, but it was a crazy time frame, man. We had kids bringing us Russian grenades and stuff that they found, and, it was
Jeez.
my eye opener to things here are a lot better than what you know, you know? When you cross the bridge and you leave Croatia, so I drove from Tazar, Hungary to Bosnia. It takes about 3 days in a military convoy, and when you cross that bridge, man, Croatia is so pretty, but when you land in Bosnia, you instantly know it's like toothpaste stopped right there at the bridge, and toothpaste was no longer allowed to go across because the people were burning their yards to stay warm. Um, the first building I seen was a school, and it had 50 cow holes in it, just all over it where it had been shot up. I mean, it was crazy. And this was in 98 is when it was, and, so we did that year there, and then when I came back, that's when, my daughter was born in Germany while I was, in Bosnia, and that's when I decided you know, I kinda like this life, man. So I joined into the special ops community where I thought, I would be doing a lot more of that. I had no idea how much more was fixing to come, but, um, yeah, it was good times, man.
What years were you over in the Middle East?
So, I was there mostly from 2002 to my last deployment was 2012. And that was with, Fort Stewart. The, uh, the rest of them was with, the 160th. So we would go so we when I was with the 160th, we were in 5 different, theaters at the same time. We were a battalion of, like, 300 people, and we were in South America, we were in, the Philippines, America, Iraq, and Afghanistan. So we were supporting 5 different theaters.
Spread a little thin there.
Absolutely. I mean, it was so bad that they called in the Iowa National Guard to run our base, our unit there
Oh,
at Hunter because we didn't have anybody left
wow.
back to keep daily ops going. And we ended up deploying some of them forward with me. One of them, was in Afghanistan. Our first um, trip to Afghanistan, he went with me. So they got to experience some of the fun.
The good old sandbox. So were you just over in Iraq or did you go into Afghanistan at any time?
Iraq and Afghanistan.
You
So
did have okay.
my first uh, my first experience was Afghanistan. Um, we were we were in a we were in another country when Iraq went off, and we sat there waiting for Iraq to kick off. Our mission at that time was to take out all the lookout posts that were radioing back. So before everybody crossed over in Kuwait, we came in from another country, and we dropped a bunch of pamphlets and stuff down, and said, hey, y'all might not want to be here, and
Before the whole the shock and awe
yeah, yeah,
with the before the B2s did their deal.
yeah, and so we then went in, took out those posts before the main body crossed over, and that way information wasn't being passed back before it was too late. At least gave everybody a head start. But so yeah, we sat there and for like, I don't know, man, 3-4 months waiting for the uh the crossover for us to actually
Isn't
happen.
it amazing how much fairer we play in the game
Oh
of
yeah,
war?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Gosh.
yeah. And it's crazy, man, because the whole time, you're there, you don't really see the 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 upfront battle, you know, at that time. You don't see the things like um people that are not part of the fighting that are being affected, until that main body, that ground war starts. And that's when it becomes personal. When the war first kicked off, it was like I said, we were shooting down buildings, we're shooting down guard towers and lookout points. You don't really know if there was anybody in them or not.
Mhm.
But it's not personal. You're not upfront. But yeah, it is quite interesting.
Yeah, to say the least. My gosh, man. I mean, I was over there in 2003 myself, so
Yeah.
we're probably playing in the sand together.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely, man. I did some time in Mosul. Um, that was mostly the area I was in Iraq was up there in Mosul. When we did finally enter Iraq,
Yeah, and I
and
was actually in Kuwait before we entered. I was Camp Commando, and
yeah,
then we had supply chain into Babylon, Iraq.
okay, yeah,
But we were feeding the frontline Marines there. But I mean, we didn't set up that supply chain till I mean, I want to say around mid-April or so. Kind of once Saddam was actually captured,
yeah,
and we had some stuff set up, but we weren't really using all the palaces and stuff like that we started to use and make them turn them into bases.
yeah. And that was another thing that was crazy. You know, everybody talks about how great we did, but if you really break down that war, if we were going against another country that was, much better at defending itself, it might have been a lot different because the battle outran the logistics. I mean, you look at your supplies, the
It was that
bullets,
whole
band-aids,
race,
and
man.
yeah,
It was the
we
race to
were.
Baghdad, and
It was.
they were kept skipping over big time places that should not have been. I mean, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, I'm 100% with you, brother. We I think we tried to get there, and they're like, oh, once we take Saddam out of power, we're done. War's over. Not in that
yeah.
region.
How did that philosophy work out?
Yeah, I don't know how
Yeah,
many heads that snake has, but you cut off one head, there's another.
I can
I
tell you in
assure you.
2019, I was told to take 4 or 5 guys and build a maintenance facility in Ramadi, and we used that as basically a refuel and repair area for our convoys. Right, 3 days a week, I drove from there to Fallujah to train Iraqis in logistics. So I mean, this is 2019 from
Fallujah
2003.
was the hot spot, man,
It
in
was a shithole.
2003. We dude that the Battle of Fallujah. I mean,
Yeah.
there's actually some, I'm sure, books, documentaries.
Oh yeah.
Uh, my cousin was he was a part of that. He was a grunt. He was a 03 to 11 dude. Has some crazy stories. He's in the sheriff department, but wow.
Yeah. You look at the Jessica Lynch situation. That was exactly what we were just talking
Yeah.
about how the battle left the logistics behind, and those guys weren't even given pluggers, man. They were given a strip map drawn on a napkin of how to go, and they couldn't make heads or tails of that.
They took
So
a wrong turn.
they
Yeah.
did. They
Mm-hmm.
were following MRE wrappers, and the
Yeah.
battle got so far ahead of them that the trash had been blown away, so they weren't sure where to go no more. And so they literally drove through Fallujah and made it all the way through the city when before they realized, "Oh, shit, we were supposed to turn left." And then they turned around and came back through it, and that's when they knew, "Hey, we're being attacked." And they're lucky that it was Iraqi military that was there and not some sort of extreme group. They really are. That the people that were
None of them
captured.
would be alive. Yeah. I
No,
mean, yeah,
no.
it would have been 100% casualty on that one.
Yep.
Uh, that one hit home for me in my
Yep.
group, being the supply bubba, and doing convoys in and out.
Yeah.
And obviously, we have our own. I won't just discuss things, but I mean, we have our own ways of doing things. But
Yeah.
to try to alleviate those ambushes and those kind of type of deals. But yeah, man, that whole convoy, unfortunately for them, they got really bad intel. They got bad
Yep.
direction. It's
Yeah.
a bad situation, man.
A lot of people don't know this, but you know, if you remember, right before the ground war kicked off, right? And there's a lot of things that led up to them getting captured. So the 507th was my support. That was my third shop when I was in Iraq, and or when I was in Fort Bliss, and I can tell you they were a shitty ass unit. They were shitty then. I'm sure it didn't change. The leadership was poor. So if you remember, there was that guy that didn't want to fight against Muslims, and he was trying to go home, and finally he just took a live grenade and chucked it in the talk,
Oh, yeah,
and took out his
yeah,
first sergeant command. So
yeah.
the 507th, they were like, "Ooh, we have kind of treated these guys like shit. We might get a live grenade too." So they took all their grenades from them. They took their AT4s from them. They locked up the cruiser weapons. They gave their
Mm.
pluggers to the Patriot guys, and they sent them across the, uh, um, the road.
Wow.
So, they didn't have any cruiser weapons. They literally fought with M16s. That's what they fought with.
And I don't know, M16s over there,
Yeah.
CLP, jam. My
Yeah.
gosh, uh,
Yeah, man.
finicky. Wow. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy, Donald, because all this stuff that you're talking about, I was there at the same time. All these stories ring right through each of our camps,
Yeah.
and I mean, we were being advised on all this stuff as it's coming through, and because I mean, we had a lot of you know, we got information as it was kind of happening. It was really filtering in. The comms were really up and running.
Yeah.
The only thing that they missed over there was the first Scud missile had escaped under all the radars and
Yeah.
landed outside of our base. Then they started putting the Patriot missiles up there, and boy, man, them things saved our ass.
Yeah,
They
dude, they
saved the whole. I mean, a big mission. The
yeah.
Patriot. The anybody out there that worked Patriot missiles during that time, you guys saved the mission. I would
Yeah,
say
yeah, they
because we
they are,
really started taking on some heavy missiles, man.
yeah, don't give them too big of a head. No, they are a good group of guys, man, but, they, they consider themselves combat arms, and I always laugh at them. And I tell them, I said, "Yeah, you guys are, you're combat arms, man. It takes forever to drive up, park, get out. run some cables, put your camouflage up, take the extra hat that you bought and put it behind your launcher, and then undo your cot and
A lot of
wait.
the work's being done for them
Yeah,
after they set up, man.
yeah.
I mean,
The
once they
setup is all
set
they
up,
do.
yeah, the
They don't
setup
they don't even
shot.
hit a button. It's
Yeah,
it's
see,
like
I
it's
mean,
like it's like roulette, you know. They sit there and they wait and they hope it's their launcher that gets the button chose,
right. Yeah,
you know. And
like making
that's why
sure
they
they're in
all
the
put a
right
hat.
position.
Yeah, that's why they all put a hat behind their launcher. So
Oh, no.
that's their souvenir. So if their launcher goes off, it burns their hat, and that's what they keep.
Ah.
We call them, it's 88 Air Defense Artillery. We call them ADA, as in another different army. So,
Man, yeah, you guys definitely giving each other shit. We all give each other shit though.
oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
You
pogues.
know,
I get pogue all the time. So
the
that's kind of a
Marines.
thing I
The
get.
Marines was a part of the Jessica Lynch rescue too.
Yeah, yep. The other
Um,
ones the Force Recon guys.
Yep, they did that, and that's where y'all's where the artillery came to draw the military to the other side of Fallujah. You know, they thought they all left that hospital because they thought they were being attacked from all the artillery that was going off on the other side. I watched. So I was in the 160th at that time, and I was in Kandahar when that happened, and I literally watched that unfold on Predator feed. It was pretty remarkable, man. I was sitting in Afghanistan watching on a computer video footage as all that was unfolding.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really impressive the stuff that we can do.
Tell me about it. I mean, I ended up joining in. I mean, after I got out, I was in the aerospace industry for a while,
Oh
building
yeah.
the F-35s and stuff like that. And the technology we got nowadays is it'll blow you away. I mean,
Yeah.
some of those missiles that they were using over in the Middle East were voice detecting type of missiles, where they got the sons of Saddam Hussein and all that. They
Mhm.
were able to pick up their voices through satellites and put a missile right on them.
Wow.
I
Man.
mean, we got some pretty awesome stuff, and it's awesome to be sitting here talking to you're a real hero, man. I mean, in my eyes, I always think the guys wearing the camouflage out there doing the work, those are real heroes to me.
I appreciate it, man, but you know, at the end of the day, and this is one thing I always say on all my podcasts, man, the people that have enlisted after 9/11, that is a different breed of volunteers.
Yep.
Like I said at the beginning, I enlisted when it was, yeah, I knew I
I think
could
they
go
call
to
it the
war.
Generation Kill, is or
Yeah,
something. There's a name for them.
yeah. I mean, but they enlisted knowing, I come to fight,
Yep.
so yeah, man. I think I got a lot of respect for the guys that enlisted after 9/11, for
Absolutely.
whatever reason,
Yep.
whether you did just come for college money, you still knew, well, I'm gonna have to fight for this money,
There was
you know.
definitely a higher chance of you going to war with the conflict going on and you're joining. When I
Yeah,
joined in the year 2000, nothing was going on,
yeah,
really. I mean, it was relatively peaceful time.
yeah,
Then boom, once the 9/11 happened, I mean, shit changed the way base was, the way we entered base. I mean, it's still different to this day from it all, but
yeah,
um, that day has changed, a lot of things, the way we, ran things and did things. But yeah, I have a lot of respect too for anybody that signed up afterwards, like knowing, all right, I might as well go fight,
yeah,
Scotty Hastings, he's one of those guys, man, who joined to go to fight, and he took the fight out there, man. He's
yeah.
that guy. I had him just on my show recently, and
He's
he'll,
got one hell of a story, man.
yeah. So by the time everybody watches this, they had seen it, but yeah, Scotty's got a great story.
Yeah, yeah, man. He is an awesome dude, man.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's a very down to earth dude, easy to talk to. I didn't know how I was going to
Yep.
be trying to reach out to some of these, guys that are musicians and out there trying to, make a name for themselves and are busy all the time. So, but
Yeah.
he was very humble and chill dude, man.
Yep. And he responds real quick, and I think he's the only musician that I don't think he has like an auto response. everybody
Yeah.
else has a thank you for contacting us. Here's my Spotify link.
Yeah. Yeah.
but,
Yeah.
but I think him, it's really him.
You know what I find the most intriguing thing about him? I mean, beyond the point of him being a hero that took 10 shots
Yeah,
and survived it, but the fact that he decides to go learn a guitar after having a disability in his hand and everything,
yeah,
and to go learn and be where he's at today, bruh, just boom. I mean, that just
yeah,
amazes me, honestly.
yeah, man. I agree. I
He has a great testimony, great story for people. And I told him, I said,
yep,
a lot of people watching you, man, have, they can make excuses. Here a reason to show them there's no excuse in some manners. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, absolutely, man. And you know, his what he does is he doesn't get paid for any of the stuff he does, that I know of anyways. So,
right.
um, he does a lot of work with guitars for vets, and he does a lot of work with Creative Vet and all these other organizations, you know, that he is constantly out there promoting and doing events for, and he does it because he cares.
Yeah. He
I think he's
legit, and he genuinely does.
yeah. It's not about getting big. It's about the ride, the journey, and who he has helped on the way. You
Yeah.
know,
Such a humble guy, man.
yeah, I agree. I do. Him and Shannon Book, I think, are both just like that. Shannon Book is another one that is extremely down to earth, and he just genuinely loves veterans, and he is a hell of a story as well, and he just genuinely cares. Yes, his music career is a business, but he genuinely cares about veterans.
Yeah, and you could tell. I've watched him on podcasts and stuff. He's just dude, got a lot of energy. He's
Yeah,
a passionate guy. I love it. I mean,
yeah,
I'm definitely trying to get Shannon on as well.
yeah, man.
Um, so I love these guys. They're I mean, getting to meet these guys in person or Scotty Frazier.
Oh yeah,
He's another guy. I just literally just talked to him. We're getting it all set up for him to come on. So
yeah. I
another
still got to get
Marine.
him on. I love
Yeah,
his music, man.
he's another guy with a great energy. When I hit him up, man, his message was like, "What's up, blood brother?" I'm just like, hell yeah, he just has. It's just felt like I was talking to my lost friend, man. So
Yep.
it's great how personable these guys are, and
Yeah.
and
JB Brown is the same way.
oh
Same
yeah,
exact way,
yeah,
man. I sat down with him and when it was in his studio, and man, it's just the story, and it was like we knew each other forever, man. And we just talked, and it I'm fixing to so not to change the subject, but I'm a little bit behind on um with my podcast. So there's still recorded episodes that I am still releasing, and I have switched to doing them live now because I just physically don't have the time to do all the editing
yeah,
for the video and everything. So it's killing me because I'm a bit of a perfectionist. I want everything to be correct, but I did not know how much time I was going to lose with this radio station until I started doing it, and so I had to give up something. And so JB Brown's is one of those interviews. I haven't had a chance to release it yet. I'm still in the process of editing. I've been releasing 3 a week to try to get them out
dang,
and
yeah,
about. But yeah, and I still got the live that I do every Wednesday for the ones that are currently signing up. So, if anybody out there that I've interviewed, I apologize, man. My bad. I'm trying.
So, I was actually going to get into all this. So let's just back up just a little bit and let's talk about, how you started the whole your Two Drunk Dudes in a Gun Room podcast, what the whole, how that all started and kind of how you ended up in the direction that you did and starting the radio station and all that. Let's kind of start talking and that stuff.
Okay. So, Two Drunk Dudes in a Gun Room came from basically our life, you know. So me and my old first aunt, when I got out of the military, I couldn't find a job. So let me back up just a little bit to
Yeah,
get you
what
to
year
where
did
I'm
you
at.
get out and all that stuff too? Let's put some
Um,
years on
so
it.
so I got out in 2014
Okay.
is was when I retired, and I was just going to be a mechanic. That was what I was going to do. And 2008 kind of ruined a lot of the small mom and pop mechanic shops. And if you remember right, Ford had filed bankrupt, or Chevy and all them filed bankruptcy, and Ford downsized, and we went from having a dealership of every type in our town down to Chevy. The rest closed. So, I mean, you could literally pick up a rock and hit somebody, and you were hitting an unemployed mechanic in the place that I chose to retire at. So, I uh, I opened up a trucking company, and I started my own company driving truck. And as the economy just continued to get worse and worse and worse, 6 years down the past later, I ended up taking a job that was offered to me by my first aunt, and I moved back to Missouri because I was having to help take care of my mom, and trying to go from Georgia to Iowa back and forth was just not being very efficient as a trucker. So I closed the business. I took this job. I moved my mom to Missouri, and my wife and kids are still living in Georgia, and I'm here in Missouri and taking care of my mom. And so we went to the VFW, and we're trying to get, you know, associated with veterans and do things. And man, we just discovered how clicky the VFW was. Um, the bar was okay there, but all they cared about was how much money they were making from bingo. That's really all they gave a shit about. And every meeting we went to, that's all we heard was, "We made all this money from bingo. We got over $10,000 in our account." And then they started talking about what they're going to do, and it's like, "Well, we're going to help the Boy Scouts with this, and we're going to help the Girl Scouts with this." And me and my buddy Doug is looked at each other, and we're like, "When are we going to start helping veterans, man?" And it got to the point where they decided that they were asked to help adopt a nursing home, and they decided what they were going to do, and this is all they were going to do, was if you were a veteran in that nursing home, they were going to take your branch and make it out of a wood plaque and put it on your door. That's what they were going to do for you. But then they wanted to pay the guy for making the actually pay him for his labor for making the plaques. And I was like, So why are we paying ourselves to do this? I mean, a lot of it just did not work with me, man. And so, I'm not going to mention what club it was or any of that stuff, but so we decided we wanted to do more, and so we started this podcast. The name came from the fact that we like to drink. So I like bourbon,
Yeah.
and my buddy liked beer, and he owned a little gun business. Um, and so we literally filmed it in his gun room. I mean, that's where we spent all the time,
Wow.
So I mean, there's ammo. He does a lot of reloading, and we were dipping guns. A lot of these guns behind me, I've actually dipped myself, and he Cerakoted my 22 that's up there, and so we did a lot of things for people, and because we were passionate about it, that's where the name came from. It didn't have anything to do with, the show itself had nothing to do with alcohol. It had nothing to do with guns. It was about highlighting veterans. So we started out bringing our friends on, and other veterans that we knew, people that had started businesses and stuff like that. And then it expanded into organizations and stuff like that. And we talked about just nonsense and kind of rambled on a little bit. And that's where the show started at, and it just kind of took itself. I kind of relate it to a child, man. You have a child, and while it's young, you have dreams for it, and you say, "You're going to grow up and be a doctor, and I'm going to have a nursing home with Hooters waitresses," and um, The reality is as it gets older, it takes on its own shape and its own forms. And so the second season, um, I end up becoming uh, doing this by myself shortly after Doug drops off for personal reasons. I keep the name Two Drunk Dudes because I hope one day he'll come back. Um, and it's hard to start a brand, so I didn't want to restart it.
Yeah,
And
rebranding is rough.
yeah, and so my goal is I would love to have Doug come back and be on the show. Um, it was my best times. But the one thing I wanted to change was I wanted more interviews. And now that I was alone and didn't have anybody to talk to, I had to create somebody to talk to because it felt so awkward talking to myself. And so
Yeah.
that's where I started, I just started stalking the hell out of everybody on Facebook, and I was just asking if you had the word veteran in anywhere on your page, I was sending you a message asking if you wanted to come on the show. And like you were talking earlier, man, I just had so many people booked that I mean, I was literally doing podcasts 5 days a week, recording them, and it was taking so long to get them out because I didn't have the time to edit them and get them out. So I start getting I start coming across these musicians, and I get them on the show, and I start thinking, man, and this is now kind of like the podcast. I consider it to be in its late teenager years, 17, 18. So it kind of knows what it wants to do now, and it kind of knows where it wants to go. And I start realizing we all have the same problem, man. As podcasters, as musicians, we are starting this late. We are way behind our peers. Um, we took the first half of our life and fought for our country. Our peers started their career as teenagers, especially in the music industry. And I didn't like how the algorithms went. I didn't like how I had to hustle and I still don't like doing 3 second and 20-second videos. I don't think they're healthy and I still don't post on any reels. I quit doing the TikToks. Well, really didn't have a choice. I got banned, um but I don't do that stuff, and I just felt like it was taking veterans and bringing their attention span down to nothing. And I think as a veteran community, if we can't think for ourselves, we're in trouble, man. Because if you're relying on the government to take care of us, they've showed us year after year after year that that's not going to happen. They're going to put systems out there, but it's just like it's like Facebook, man. It's on the cover, our pictures show we're doing great, but behind the scenes, is it really helping? And
Yeah.
and when I started getting into this podcasting, that's when I realized it's the mom and pop organizations, the hero stocks, the Deuce Outfitters missionary. These people that are boots on the ground, face to face with the veteran every day. That's where the changes are being made. And I didn't have that budget to try to start a 501c. I already had a business that I closed, and my personal life right now with taking care of my mom and my personal bills with, I have rent and utilities here in Missouri, and I have a mortgage and everything in Georgia. I just don't have the extra exposable income to try to start a 501c. Um, so that was kind of out of the door for me, so I didn't know where I fit in this area of helping veterans. And I do believe that everybody has a part to play, but you have to find your part. And nobody's going to tell you how you have to help. It's you have to figure that niche out. What is your part to play? And I discovered that my part is I have a big mouth, and I'm good at networking, and I don't have an issue with spending all my free time on the internet. I don't like TV as much as I'd rather be here talking to you. So that's what the show became about, was about highlighting veterans and bringing the veteran that's looking for help to an organization that we have interviewed and said, I know something. I know somebody. Let me link you and so up. And that's what we've been doing. And so the first thing I did was I built an app, and I spent a ton of time on YouTube because I'm not a technical guy either. And I built this app at first so that if somebody wanted to chat and they just needed some help, they could use WhatsApp and on there and reach me. And a few people did, and I spent some years talking, or some nights talking to people I didn't know, but you know, we just shot the shit and talked about stuff. So I mean, I like the fact that people did use it. And then the radio station came about, and it came about because I felt like they were having the same problem I was. We are competing against civilians that have been doing this way longer, and they're only 25. You know, um, you have people like Scotty Hastings and Shannon Book spent 17 years in the military and is now starting a music career. You know, how do you compete with somebody who's got 17 years of experience already?
Yeah.
You know, and you look at Spotify, man, and all these algorithms are like, when you first come out there, man, they're showing you up. But if you're not gobbled up by the people in your first month and getting a bunch of likes and comments and reviews and everything else, you get buried in their algorithms. And the only people that see you are the people that click on your link. And that is a fact. Um, so I seen, I don't know, it was a commercial, an advertisement or something about making your own radio station. And I was like, that's what I need to do. I just need to make my own radio station. Dude, doesn't that sound simple? That's so easy, man. I pay $39 a month, and I take their music and I put it on there, and everybody gets to hear veterans music. Man, that's so simple. Too easy. Yeah. Dude, there's a lot of red tape with this. I did not know. And when I first started, the first thing I did was I started grabbing all veteran shows off podcasts and putting on there. And then I took them back off because I found out you have to, even though they're free and they're on every platform in the world, you still have to get their permission to put their show on your radio station. Right? So even though I can pull it off of their RSS feed, I can subscribe to them and download it. Because I'm rebroadcasting it, I have to have their permission. So I deleted all their shows off my radio station. So now I was back to just two drunk dudes in a gun room and a radio station. And you know, my you know, after drinking and thinking, man, just people are going to give me their music. They'll just give me their music to play because they want to be heard. Yeah, that's not so simple either, man. So some people did, like Scotty did. He gave me their music. He's like, "Yeah, play away, man." But what I didn't know was there's these companies called pros, right? And they're the ones that go around and snatch your ass up for copyright. So if an artist signed an agreement with them, they agreed that in return for them collecting money from people that are copyrighting their stuff, they get a fee, right? So you have to be licensed. There's only 3 in the United States, and you have to have a license, and you have to be licensed by the one that artist is licensed with. So after doing a bunch of research, um, you know, the radio station had been live for like 90 days before the actual release date, because I had to set a release date so far in advance because, one, I had to come up with the money, and two, I wasn't sure I really wanted to go through all this and to do what I wanted to do. And I sure as hell didn't want another business. And it came down to the fact that if this was going to go forward, I had to have another business. It either had to become a 501c or it had to become a sole proprietor business. And I ended up after talking to Operation Encore. Guy from Operation Encore was amazing, and I give him credit because he is the reason why the radio station happened. I was to the point where I was about to give up. You know, I talked to him because I couldn't get music. Without music, the radio station was going to fail. And I got with him, and he's like, "Man, we've been looking for a radio station for a year now." He said, "We cannot find a radio station that will dedicate an hour to veterans." I was like, "Well, here I am." But then he started telling me, "Well, are you going to pay royalties to the musicians? Are you going to do this?" And I was like, "Man, guy, I didn't even think about all this shit." And he's like, um, unable to really do anything with me because I was really not prepared for what I was coming. So he sent me a bunch of information to sit down and read. And I sat there and I thought about it. And I was debating on just forgetting it. And it just kept going through my mind, man, that there is no radio station out there that is even willing to give up an hour of airtime to dedicate to people that have fought for our country. They could still run advertisements in that hour in between songs, but they didn't want to dedicate an hour to music that they weren't sure people were going to like. And I just was like, it just didn't sit right with me, man. So I moved forward, man. I paid for the licensing through BMI. And, I said, and I still don't know where it's going to go, how successful, but I didn't give a shit. I said, I'll cover what I can cover, and a little bit of prayer and a little bit of hope, and the rest will work out. And that's where I'm at, man. And it's grown. Um, Advertising's tough, and when you're first starting out, anything's tough, especially on the internet. But it's growing, and I think it's important that people know that there's veterans out there. We have a life after the army, after the military. We're not just, you know, a break in case of war and lock us back in a fucking cage, because people are afraid to go fight for their country. Hey, let them back out, man. We got another problem. You know, we have
Yeah.
careers and we have decisions and we have things and goals and lives and dreams and everything else too. And it doesn't matter if that goal is to be the guy that picks up garbage down the road so you can be home at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and spend the rest of the time with your family, or if that is you're going to be a rock star or a country music star or whatever, a comedian. I've had a bunch of comedians on my show, and I want so bad for one of them. I ask them all the time, one of y'all need to come up with something. We need to have a time frame on that radio station for comedy hour.
Oh yeah.
Even if you guys just want to record some bits that you're practicing and working, and then I run some polls and people tell you how good is it doing, how bad is it doing, so you can gauge material. I don't give a shit. But these veteran comedians out there need to be heard too. And it shouldn't have to be in a 20-second TikTok that I already don't think is healthy to begin with, you know. But that's for down the road, I guess, for one of them to create and come up with, because I can't do that on my own, man. And
Yeah, man. Yeah, I know you got your hands full and you got a lot to manage. So let's kind of talk about ways that other people can help you with the show. I know there's patron, uh,
yep.
things of that nature. Kind of let people know how they can help Donald get this thing to be successful.
So there's a couple things that we need, right? If you wanted to help out financially, Patreon is out there. The smallest entry is our private level. I tiered them by rank. So you got the private, you got
Yeah.
the sergeant first class, and you got the command sergeant major, right?
Yep.
Right now, we're allowing for a 7-day free trial for the private entry. You can cancel anytime. The private entry is $5 a month, and what you get is you get access to the podcast. behind the scenes videos. You get access to things like what is coming up. We've got some sponsors that we have gotten that I'm still working out the details with, so I can't divulge them yet. But behind the doors of Patreon, I'll share some of the ideas that I have, not necessarily who they're with and stuff like that, but that you'll get access to that. I've worked out with several of the artists. I've went and bought T-shirts from some of these artists, and I'm going to frame the T-shirts. And I go to their merch store. I buy their T-shirts, so they make money off of their T-shirts. I buy them at full price. I find out I get their address from them, and I have them shipped straight to their address. They autograph them, and if they want to write a little saying on them or whatever, and then they mail them to me, and I'm putting them in picture frames, and I'm going to be giving them away to Patreon members. So that is one
Oh, that's
thing
cool.
that you're going to be eligible for. Every Patreon member gets 4 free merch items. Uh, so every 3 months, you'll get a free different item. Based off of the tier, you get a little bit more. Um, the other thing I want to do is I want Patreon members to have access to the radio station. So if there's something that you want said, you want a shout out given, you want uh, something said to a deployed soldier that might be listening or whatever, you guys, all tiers will have access to that. So you'll have direct access to chat with me and talk with me and say, hey, once a month or once a week, we'll get together and in a group fashion. And if there's something you want to talk about, you want to change something on the show, that is where my polling is going to come from, and they're going to dictate where the show really goes and how it.
Stakeholders.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, everybody's.
that's really what they are.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to charge anybody for the show. When I first started this and thought about it, I knew I needed funding. So to give everybody a little bit of idea what this costs, I make nothing off of it, and I never will. I have no employees. If I ever do, they will be a volunteer. There will be nobody that makes a dollar off this, but it has to make money because the way the license agreements work with we'll use BMI for example. All right. I have to give 1.7% of the gross income to BMI. I have to pay
Mm.
$438 a year for my license. And I have to pay 0.0022 and a whole bunch of numbers after that every time I play a song.
Mm.
And that's the royalties are a percentage of that 1.7% goes to the artist, and the rest goes to the BMI. I think they get 12% and the artist gets the rest. And then the 0.002, less than a penny a song, goes to the artist as well. So when I created this, I wanted the artist to make money from this. And my thoughts was originally was I was gonna, split the advertising. People come on to advertise, I was gonna give them half of the advertising. And that's how I was gonna pay the artist for letting me use their music. And same with I was gonna charge a subscription based to have people be able to listen to it. And then I got to thinking about it, man. I was like, you know what? It kind of defeats the purpose because the purpose of this is to get their music out. So I didn't want this to be a subscription based thing. So the radio station is free. It will always be free. You'll have full access to it. I will never limit it. Um, they'll always have access to the our Facebook pages to where they can be a part of the sharing bourbon show and everything else. But it does have to make some money somewhere, and so advertising and commercials um, is where that's going to come from. So if you have a business and you want some advertising, especially if your target audience is veterans, let us know. If you're a young business and you're on a budget, dude, I can work with any budget. You can basically do it as a donation to me. I'm not a 501c, so I can't give you a tax break, but you can give me say your budget is $70 and I will subtract 50 cents a download off of my podcast, and $5 a day off of the radio station, off of the balance that you paid. So you can dictate how much you want to pay for advertising, right? Um, I'll work with people on creating the ads and editing them and making them, and they get access to the YouTube channel, they get access to the podcast, they get access to the radio station. So they will be everywhere. And as people know, my shows also get uploaded to Facebook as well. So they're going to see and reach all my people on Facebook as well. So
And
I don't.
I was gonna throw this out there to you real quick, but I'd be willing to throw it on my show too, as
It,
well. So,
awesome,
I'll
awesome, man.
play. Do you get anybody that's willing to do that, and they want to do sponsor packages? Say, maybe there's ways you could break it down. Like you can make it on these podcast shows, or you could just do different donation packages or something like that, and they get their, you know, thing out there. I mean, and for me, it doesn't. I do it for no cost. I love doing all this stuff for you and the show, and also putting other
I,
people's stuff out there.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah. So that's one way to help is with Patreon and with advertising. The other one is just simply sharing. So you can download the app, Two Drunk Dudes in a Gun Room. It's on Apple or Google, and then you will have access to the radio station. I've recently simplified and made the app more driven towards um, the radio station and the podcast. So when I first created it, it was more about information. They had we had things like where you can get military discounts from. You could
Yeah.
had articles and just different stuff on there. And um, I can't change the name of the app. I wish I could. I would just change it to Gunroom Radio, but it's part of the licensing agreement with BMI. So I can't change the name. So I just simplified it. But you can at least take it with you now, and you can plug it into your car, and you can listen to the radio station while you're driving down the road. So listening creates hours of people listening, which is what is used to entice people to advertise. So, by listening, sharing, and growing the audience, it helps us with being able to convince other people to want to advertise with us. If you say, well, I have one guy that comes every day and listens, you're not going to have a whole lot of people that want to advertise with you. But if you have a following, people will listen and people will want to advertise. Not to mention, the ultimate goal from this is to create opportunities for these artists. So the more people that listen and share the radio station, you may come across somebody that says, you know what? I think I know a place that we can get a band because they're having an event somewhere. And that just created a gig for an artist that's on our radio station. And that has already happened. So I've already won with this radio station just because of Hero Stock. They have already booked some artists that have came on my show that have been on the radio station, and whether he got that from me or from Contagion Effect, I don't care. The fact that
Yeah.
somebody is going to get paid for performing, and that money is going to go to helping him feed his family, pay his bills, and do what he loves versus having to take a job that he hates and he's living his dream. I'm good with that. It's a win. And I don't care, you
You've
know.
definitely opened it up for networking in a lot of ways too, even for us podcasters. I've
Yeah.
met some awesome, great musicians because of all of this. And
Yeah.
now I'm
Yeah.
going to be interviewing guys that are going to be famous one day, and
Yeah.
it's great. Donald, you're doing, I mean, man, uh, I can tell you, I enjoy it. I love it. It's on my phone. As a matter of fact, let's just go see what's playing right now on the station. See what's on. Jen Ford.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see you guys this is the kind of music you can just be playing anytime you want. It is accessible right through an app. That's how quick I was able to access it. And what's also cool about this is there's a little timer up there. And say you really like a show or you like something at a certain time that it comes on, you just push the little alarm clock and it alerts you to let you know, hey, your show's about to be on. So
Yeah.
I love it. You're doing great things, Donald, and man, I hope we can get the word out there for you as much as we can and blow this thing up, man. Let's help all these artists and let's help this station. I mean, it is full of people who don't seek attention but deserve every ounce of it.
Yeah, man, I agree. You know, so the scheduling of the shows, from 05 to 10 o'clock is our morning show. We call it the drive. I'm the DJ, so I pre-record every day of the show on Saturday because I have a 9 to 5 as well. And
Right.
I use the DJ name as Double D, and I set it up so, and I kind of set the music up for more easy listening and stuff like that in the mornings. And then our afternoon, our midday jams, lunchroom jams, is I start bringing in some of the rock groups and some of the countries, and our COB, close of business formation, is our drive home, man. And so, we have a show for each hour of the day, and the music runs from 05 in the morning to 2200, and then 2200 to 23:59 is Monday through Friday is dedicated to veteran podcasters. So, um, each day of the week, I have a different podcaster that is slotted for those time frames, and then after that is is because of budget reasons, I turn it into podcasts at night. So it's just random different podcasts that eat up the airtime from midnight to 05. And it's just because I have to cover the royalties, and then until I got sponsors and kind of idea what my budget is, I just can't afford to play songs because one person listened every 6 hours. So um but what has came from this is, like, we have a new artist that just came on, Amelia Presley. She just came out with a new song, and I got to I got to debut it um, yesterday. It just came out yesterday. She gave it to me a couple days ago, and I didn't know where all she was going to debate it, and I didn't want to put it out there any earlier than Thursday because that's when the release date is. Because I didn't want to mess up anything that she had going on.
Sure. Yeah.
But I listened to that song, and it's called, Sinner's Den, and I'm gonna have her on the show, and you need to have her on too. She
Absolutely.
is a Coast Guard veteran.
Oh,
She has
sweet.
one hell of a story to tell, and that song, man, is amazing. She is going to be on our top 20. I I I I think people are gonna fall in love with that song. I really do. And,
I'm excited
yeah,
to
man.
hear it. So,
And
for me too, man, this has been a place where I've discovered new artists.
yeah.
Derek Stoner, he's kind of I've become like a little like like a man crush on the dude where he's just like his music, man. I mean, I'm voting for him every week, and I got
Yeah,
other guys I'm voting there for too, but that's someone I never even knew about, you know what I mean? And
yeah,
then I just like to go through the list. I like to go through the list and I like to go to Spotify or wherever and try to find them so I can kind of give them a little bit of love there too.
yep,
and
yeah,
and just hearing the new stuff, man, and just in giving these guys, I'd be listening to them like, how is this not on the charts right now? Like the big
yeah,
time charts. Like
yeah,
some
yeah.
of these people, you're just like, God, how are
It's
these
it's
guys
it's
just
because they get
on
buried.
YouTube?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's because they get buried. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
you can be the best searcher in the world, but let's face it, these big,
There's a
social
lot,
media, they're only gonna let you see what they want you to see,
right?
and,
And it's a lot of this too. It's a lot about
it
paying and
is,
and getting your paying to get out there.
it is, And so let's talk a little bit about what's coming with Gunroom Radio.
Yeah,
So
yeah, absolutely.
I got I got some cool stuff that I think is coming, and nobody knows this. I'm gonna release it on your show, so this will be the first time. Even the artists don't know this. So I've been doing the top 20, right?
Yeah.
And I've told everybody the first Saturday of the month will be the top 100, right? Now from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. I have locked that time in for Operation Encore. They will always, until we are no longer on the air, have that hour because they helped me get this going. And
Awesome.
it's only Operation Encore artists that that are on there, but it'll be the top 100 on there, right? But the artist that is voted then the number one for at the end of the month, I'm going to send them something from, I mean, whether it be a plaque or something. So the artists are going to get something from Gunroom Radio just because the fans voted for them, you know.
That's awesome.
And so I think that's really a cool idea. Um, it may not be anything. They're not getting a Lamborghini, but but they'll get something. If they do, it'll be the size of a matchbox. I promise. Um, but they're gonna get something because they work hard, and a lot of these people, a lot of people don't understand what these guys and gals are going through. Let's take Barbara Sim, right?
Yeah.
She is literally living in a van,
I
and I
yeah, I
am I'm
yeah,
not
no,
exaggerating.
I've watched that episode that you had her on,
Yep.
and you were very
And
scared for her, man.
yeah, man. And I every time I'm on the air, I always give her a shout out, and I pray to God she's safe because I know what the road's like. I spent 6 years as a truck driver, and I seen some shitty shit. And so I always pray to God that she's safe. And
I don't know, man. The sites that I've seen of on her Facebook, some of the pictures, she goes to some pretty nice places.
oh, she does, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And she sleeps in Cracker Barrel parking lots, and she showers at Anytime Fitness gyms, and but what a lot of people don't understand, people say, "Oh man, that's so sad." Well, no, that's not. She's on a journey, and she's finding herself, and she's healing, and she's gonna write music. I promise you, she's writing music that is going to amaze people. She's already got the voice. Now she's putting the miles down and finding herself, and it's these kind of things that bring that artistic ability out. But like I tell people, man, when you listen to this station, you're listening to artists that live these stories. These songs are from their life. They
Yep.
didn't go to the PX and buy a damn cowboy hat and start singing country music and never rode a horse in a day in their life. They are singing songs that they wrote about what has gone through their mind, the stories that they've lived, um, whether it be rock, country, folk. I mean, we've got musicians that sing folk music. I got one that's considered what they call a street musician. I mean, there's all sorts of musicians, but every one thing they have in common is they all come from their life experiences. And so I think it's important people to understand that what you're listening to isn't somebody that sat down to try to write a number one song. They wrote a song while they were trying to heal when they came back. And that's what's important.
Yep. I mean, uh, some of the songs, even I like listening to Shannon's "The Dear Mom"
Yeah.
song.
Yeah.
You watch that video on
Yeah.
YouTube, and
Yeah.
it's Memorial Day's coming up. Man,
Yeah.
that one really, that one hits the soul.
Yeah. Yeah.
But these, I
So,
mean, they're writing from their hearts and their,
yeah.
I mean, the stories that they're telling are real stories.
Yeah, man. He has another song out there called Not Alone. Dude, it sends chills down my back. You know, I am a huge, you was talking about Scotty Frazier having, or Derek Stoner having a man crush on him. I'm a Scotty Book fan, dude. I jammed to him on the way home. He's in my playlist, and him and Malachias. I love, I love, I love their music. I'm biased, so I don't vote on the top 20 because I am biased. but
Yeah,
the
I've been kind of been a little bit biased, I think, too. All my guests and all the, some of the same names you're naming too. It's like, I'm kind of guilty myself.
yeah, man. But
There's just too many good ones. I don't know. I
it
find
is,
myself like, oh, shoot.
and
Maybe I'm
that's
voting too much now.
and that's why I had to change it, dude. Originally, the first vote, you were only allowed to pick one.
Oh yeah,
I
there's
had
too
to change it.
many.
I was like, "No, you got to be able to vote for however many ones. You just can't vote more than once." So,
Right, for that
you can
same
go in
person.
there and select as many names as you want. You just can't go and vote for the same person multiple times. So, but
Yeah,
um, but yeah, man, I think at the end of the day that's what this is about, man. It's just about giving the veterans a platform, whether it be on our podcast or on the radio station, to continue their journey and heal. Because I mean, let's face it, man. Some of these guys they need this, and they don't need to be put in a truck driving 650 miles a day, sitting in their head like I did when I got out, because it's not healthy.
yeah. Too much time to be in your head, man. My
Yeah,
gosh,
I
that's
agree,
where the
man.
demons get real ugly.
It does, man.
Yeah,
And my life, financially went up when I did that, but my overall health went down. And my family, my demons damn near destroyed my family, and it has put a damper on my relationship with my son. And that's part of the reason what the book is for. Um, Hopefully my son will read it. He's not much of a reader, but maybe I'll make an audio version too. But
so, I mean, if following along with my storyline, that's kind of what my storyline is on my podcast show. I was kind of hoping that some of my kids, because, dude, yeah, I don't have a really good relationship with my son either.
yeah,
And, just made a lot of mistakes. I'm trying to do better this to go around with
yep,
my youngest guy. My oldest daughter, she's in college now, and we've been able to kind of mend our relationship and have a friendship. But, yeah, man, uh, you know, this has been able to make me kind of tell a story in a way and realize things, and also it's something that they can look back on and understand, like, oh, that my dad's that way, or this, or that happened, or wow, I didn't know that, or
yeah,
that's
man,
kind of what how my actual podcast was started, is just like, well,
yeah,
if no one else checks it out, maybe my kids will,
yeah,
and then they could understand why I am the way I am, or whatever, or
yep.
grandpa's crazy, and like,
Yeah,
oh, that's
and
why.
and that's what I love about this. I don't know when it'll be seen, but like they say, if you post a nude on the internet, it will always be there. You can't get rid of
Yep.
it,
Yep.
right? Well, I'm counting on that because I want my story and your story and everybody's story to always be there, because at some point, I don't know what the future holds.
Yeah.
We don't know what the history books are going to teach about the war and what we lived.
Right.
And the voices that we're making now may be the only voices that we get to tell,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, I mean, how cool would have this been back in the World War II, and
Oh, yeah.
all the different days, man, and we've been able to hear a lot of. There's a lot of stories that have gone unheard.
Oh, yeah.
That don't
Yeah.
make the books, don't make the movies.
Yep.
I mean, too many to tell.
Yeah.
But here's an opportunity to get some of the stories out there, and that's. I mean, I'm loving it. I love that I feel like we're kind of building a nice, cool little community of podcasters who are
Yeah.
kind of have the same goal, the same vision, and we want to kind of highlight our veterans. I've become more of a cheerleader now,
Yeah.
than, because back in my day when I was trying to do this and trying to do that, I feel like, hey, I'm gonna let people do that. I'm not done, but it's more like I really want to help.
Yeah.
I want to help push other people around too, because at the end of the day, man, when you're doing something you like, or you're into something, it just brings happiness to you.
Yeah.
If you're sitting there doing something that just you can't stand, and it just drags on all day, you're not going to have fun, and it's going to wear on your mental health.
Yeah.
So
And podcasting is therapy. I am a
Yes.
firm believer, man.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
I have opened up about a lot of stuff that has happened, and, um, things that my wife, maybe if she's seen some of the shows, maybe she knows now, but there's things that I haven't told her that have came out, and, um, I'm a firm believer, part of giving back and helping the veteran community is therapy in its own. It really is.
Yeah.
If
I mean,
nothing
I
else,
think
it's surrounding you with like-minded people.
yeah, we do owe it to the community to be transparent, man, and let people know it's okay, man, to talk about things at
Yep,
times.
yep,
And sometimes that's all it needs to happen. And you can't believe how much better sometimes you feel. I know my wife is saying I'm walking around with a happier smile nowadays and stuff ever since I kind of started this podcasting thing. And I said, yeah, it's definitely opening up doors that I have shut or things that I've kind of like I said, I disconnected. This is a form of me reaching back out and trying to connect again, and it is bringing happiness, and it's also you can hear it from others too, like they're happy to have a place to come talk and just
yeah,
chill. That's kind of why I started a whole segment on Wednesdays now. It's called Wacky Wednesdays. It's, hey, come hang out for an hour.
yep,
We'll, maybe one day I'm going to have the Gunroom radio station going and we're listening to Gunroom radio when I'm having EDM or whatever. I just want to have a place. Come
yeah,
hang out. And if you want to join on my panel, join on the panel. Let's all have a good time for an hour. It's Wednesday. Let's take a break from the midweek and have fun, man. I'm just
yeah,
trying to really build this community,
yeah,
and keep filtering them to everybody to the Gunroom radio station and all the
yeah,
different
man.
podcasters out there that are putting stories out there. So,
I agree,
uh,
man. There's so many different things, and there's so many uh, different views. So I mean, the way the contagion effect, we could both have the same guest,
yeah,
and we're going to get different views and different angles just from the
right.
questions and the way the shows are designed. And so just because you think, oh, I've already seen Shannon Book, I seen him on the Two Drunk Dudes show, I don't need to watch it on the Contagion Effect. No, you do,
Yeah.
because something else will come up. There's something out there that he may talk about that time that he did not talk about before, and that might be the one thing that you needed.
And sometimes too, man, when you have the Army, Marine
Yeah,
interview or the Navy, whatever, different, and it's not Army, Marine, because there's sometimes that I might gloss over things as, just because as Marine or whatever we know, but when I'm talking to someone else, it's like I don't know a lot about other branches and stuff, so I'm
right.
going to ask questions that may not get asked if they were on, getting interviewed by an Army person or same thing or whatever, vice versa.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely, man. And that's, if I was financially set good enough, if I knew when I was in the army that this is what I was going to do when I got out, and I don't care even if I had to walk the same path to get to it, man, I would have dumped as much money in my TSP so that I could not need any money to live other than, what my retirement check will cover, so I could do this full time because I love it, man.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
I
well, now that I'm 100% disabled, it's giving me that ability to kind of make it my full time job. I
yeah,
told my
dude.
wife, I said, my gosh, it is starting to get that way. I mean, I've put in, some 4, 5, 6 hour days easy, just doing
Yeah,
some interviews and then trying to do some prep and everything for the interviews. It can very times consuming. Then when you want to go back and do the video editing and all that stuff, and then you got to try to do the social media part to get your show
yep,
out there so people listen. It is a lot more than a lot of people I think it's just turning on the camera or the recording
yeah.
and just go.
Let
There's so
me
much to it.
so let me talk about what my weekend consists of just to get
Yeah, let's hear
1 week
this.
of the gunroom radio going, right?
Yeah.
So, Saturday morning is when I turn off the votes for the top 20, all right? At 8 o'clock, I tally up those votes. At that point, I start recording for the veteran hour. So I've got the schedule playing music on Saturday morning, I'm purposely not doing any audio stuff on Saturday and Sunday mornings because I need that time to get through the week, right? So because the next show that's coming up is the Veteran Hour, I then sit there and I have to record myself doing the intro. So coming up next is our artist Barbara Sims. She is a Marine veteran, but then after I record that, I have to edit that and fix the audio to it. And then I have to upload it into the radio station. And I have to do that for every single artist that comes up. And for every commercial that comes up, I have to do that, right? And then you have the morning show, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And I have to record myself saying, "Hey, it is Monday. Welcome to the drive. This is Don." Yada yada yada, and I'd look for some kind of news bit and find some news and something to talk about. One, just to give the art the same thing Monday through Friday, right? And then I have to edit all that. And then I have to go through and try to match up the timelines so that the songs end at the right time and everything else. And then I have to set up the top 20 for Sunday. And so I have to say, coming up, our number 3 song is blah, blah, blah. And
Oh
I have to
man.
edit each and every single one of those and upload them and then input all of those. So it literally takes all weekend. And I'm talking from 10 in the morning, 8 in the morning to 10, 11 at night, because from 9 to 10 I do sharing bourbon. That's where I try to have everything done by then so I can drink with everybody, and we do a request line. You can come on our Facebook page, you can request for shout outs, you can listen to songs, whatever songs you want. Um, I really wish my license would allow me to just combine the radio station onto the Facebook page so you didn't have to listen in two places, but um, I can't afford that license. To I could add it, but it costs more money to do it, and I still need to get 2 more licenses to grab more artists because I can't play their music. The stuff you're hearing from Shannon Book and the stuff that you're hearing from Barbara Sims and the songs that you're hearing from them is because they were recorded through Operation Encore, and I have their permission to play them. So they did the pros do not have the rights to them. Um, but I can't play all of Shannon Book's songs, the stuff that he did not write with Operation Encore, because he is with a
Uh,
company called ASCAP and ASCAP. So I wasn't making fun of them. That's literally their acronym.
yeah.
uh, but that's another $400, and that's another 1 point so much percent of gross revenue and yada 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 to be able to play them. And that's the next one because JB Brown is with them too, and he has got some amazing music, man. Church Pew, um, I'm Alone. Uh, I mean, just or not I'm Alone. Tonight. I mean, both are just awesome songs, man. They're all over the charts, and that's just some of his music. But I can't play the rest because um, he didn't write them with Operation Encore, and he's with another group. He's given me permission. He's like, play all my stuff, man. I don't care. Well,
It's not that easy, huh?
it isn't because now there's another company that has financial gain from that music being played, and they're not gonna just be, "No, asshole, you're not just playing his music, you're gonna pay me to play his music,"
Right. Yeah.
you know? So, that's the next step is to get, at least get, ASCAP signed, and the 3rd one, there's not a lot of artists with them. Um, I'll probably get them down the road just to cover my butt, but,
Yeah.
primarily the BMI and ASCAP are the 2 licenses we have to cover just about all the veterans that's out there because those are the 2 big ones. And um, that's the big issue with all this is there's just so many things to do, but the money just kind of takes over, you know. And I hate bringing the money into it because I love what I'm doing, man. I've listened to songs that I'm just like, holy shit, man, he's singing about me, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Very
and
relatable songs.
Yeah, and like Baptized by Fire, man, by Malachias. Dude, when he was on my show, that's all I talked about. He's like, "Yeah, but I got this other song." I'm like, "Yeah, but you got Baptized by Fire." I love that song, man. I was fucking up the name every time. I was like, yeah, "Baptism by Fire," but I don't give a shit. I love that song, and
Yeah.
it's in my playlist, man. I jam to that too, and everybody can relate to something that's on there. I promise you. And so the next big thing after other than um, that is I'm going to start bringing on the artists, and we're going to start setting hours aside to where you can get a little bit personal away from the veteran side. We're not going to bring them on and say, well, let's talk about the time you were shot 10 times, Scotty.
Yeah. Right.
We're going to bring them on as artists, and
Yeah.
we're going to
Yeah.
talk about your artist careers, and
Let
we're
the
going
fans be
to,
fans.
yeah, I'm going to let them play a little bit live, and then I'm gonna play some of their recorded songs, and we're gonna get into how they were wrote, and why you wrote them, and the feelings that came from writing them, and how the journey took you, and how the healing came from this journey, and what are the goals. Where do you want to be? Do you want to be standing at the Grand Ole Opry one day, or do you just want to be surrounded by veteran festivals helping veterans? What is your goals? What is your plans? How can I help you get there? And that's the next thing that's coming
Like a
is
show,
I'm gonna,
like a show light or a star, whatever they call it, like a
yeah, yeah,
hour. That's great, man.
yeah. So and it won't
Spotlight.
be it won't be every night, but it'll be every other day or every other week or so, and I'll make sure I advertise and what day and what time that they're going to come on, and it'll probably be on a Sunday night, and it'll be done live, you know.
I think listeners will appreciate that, man. If people like when you get to know people, on more of just a singer level, they like to
Yeah,
know, oh wow, that's a little bit. I didn't know that about you,
yeah.
So that's cool that you get to do that and highlight them. Um, man,
And
dude, honestly, without you explaining all this stuff, you make it seem like it's so easy, Donald.
yeah,
Uh,
it's not.
but my gosh, it's definitely not, bro. Not by any stretch of the imagination.
No, man. And here's the other thing I've learned from this, and this is why I want to bring them on and talk about their artist career. A lot of these artists, right? They don't like to use I don't want to become big and famous because I'm a veteran. I want to become big and famous because you love my music and you
Yeah,
love my art,
right.
right? And me and Barbara Sim was talking about this. And I told her, I said, you have to understand that a lot of these songs are wrote from life experiences, right? So, do you not think that the daughter of Billy Ray Cyrus to start her career didn't use her dad, Billy Ray Cyrus, to get her start, right? And then she wrote songs that could relate to her generation, to people her age group, you know? And that's how she became big
Yeah,
because they were about her life experiences. Now, it may have been what happened in 7th grade because she was only in 8th grade, but that was her life experiences at that time. I said, "So you're not using anything other than your life experiences to progress your art. So don't ever feel like, you know, it's about pity. It's not. And there's a fine line. I do get it. She is adamant about that. She does not want people to only listen because she's a veteran. And when I tried to, I passed. She's got a song out there called "Rev It Up," and she really wants that song to be played at with NASCAR. And like I told her, I said, "Well, I can't help you at NASCAR, man, but I do know some people at race, and maybe I can help you in smaller circuits." And the very next thing she said is, "Don't tell them I'm a veteran. I want them to know. I want them to only want to do it because they like the song." So I agreed. I didn't do it. I told her. I sent the music to him. I said, "Hey, just give me your honest opinion. What do you think of this song?" I didn't even tell him what my thoughts were on it, or what I wanted them to do.
yeah,
So, and it's big because they don't want to be looked at as, man, I feel sorry for you. You got PTSD. Oh, you're so fragile. That's not what they want.
right.
They want to be treated like their peers. They work hard for their music. They work hard to entertain, and that's what they are. They're entertainers that happen to used to be veterans that had different lifestyles. You know, if they were civilians and they were abused as a child and they were comedians and they told jokes about what happened as being abused as a child, do you still only like them because they were abused as a child, or do you like them because they were funny? You know,
Yep.
well, they want the same thing as musicians. They want to be liked because they are artists that happen to be that happen to be veterans, and I think
That's
that's
totally
important.
understood. Yep. But completely. I
And
get it.
so that's why I want to bring them on, and I want to talk not military. I want to talk. Let's talk about your music career. You know,
Yeah, absolutely. And get them, then you start feeling like you know, the, famous person that they are, and like
yeah,
they're starting to get that attention. I love what
yeah.
you're doing, man. I love it. I can't express it enough. I think it's great. I'm going to do my portion and what I can to try to make it better.
I appreciate it,
And
man.
and absolutely, I definitely want to see the success of it all. Um, you know, I think it's a great thing, and it's going to be great for a lot of people, and it's going to give people exposure. And I mean, one day you can look back and say, man, this created something, and now look at this person,
Yeah,
and it was all because he started off on Gun Room Radio. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
man.
Like,
If like I said, if somebody gets a gig out of it and it helps, um, you know, them at least get paid for a night, I call that a win, man. You know, and the other thing I want to do, and I haven't worked all the details yet, but I want to have some virtual concerts throughout the
yeah,
wintertime when
yeah,
the
hell yeah,
gigging slows down,
yeah,
right? Because I
love that.
think it's important. Yes, Gunroom Radio needs to make some money to keep afloat, but when the traveling quits, we're not talking about George Strait that made $8.9 million and is good throughout the winter. He can chill and go sit in a studio and write some new songs for next year when, touring season starts again. You know, we're talking about people that are like everybody else, man. They have a budget, they have bills, they are living in neighborhoods and communities, not gated communities, you know. So I want to have some virtual concerts this winter, and hopefully drive some fans to pay a small entry fee to watch it. There will be discounts for the Patreon members as well, but I want that, and the money is going to go to helping the veterans. That they're going to get paid for their time and their shows. I ain't worked out the logistics yet on how I'm going to do it and how to set it up and still make it entertaining and up to my standards for the show. So, but I've got, like I said, I got a lot of things that I want to do. You know.
I do have one good question for you.
Okay.
And is the Gun Room Radio gonna be at Hero Fest? I mean, yeah, are you gonna be there this
I
or Hero
am.
Stock? I mean, Hero Fest, Hero Stock. You gonna be there?
Yep. So
Is Gun Room Radio gonna be live for
we
that
are.
shit? Yes.
Yep. So
All right.
Jason asked us to come up, and I told him, I said, "Why don't we stream this?" And he said, "Why don't we?" And I said, "Dude, I'll come up and do it, man." So he's going to set it up to where I can be close to the stage, and yeah, we're going
Yeah,
to
that's
live
great.
stream it on their Facebook page and hopefully my Facebook page, and we're going to put it on the radio station. It'll be live on the radio station all day long. So I'll have a little booth, and I'll be on the air, and we'll be talking about what's going on and try to drive as many people. And if you can't make it, at least you're going to be able to hear the concert and hopefully see it.
Yeah, I'm
So
definitely the wife and I already told her we're making arrangements. We're flying out to Nebraska.
yeah,
It's just gonna be a weekend thing. We'll just go for a couple days, turn around,
yeah,
come back home. So I'm coming, but
awesome, man.
I'm coming as Brian Roof, man. I'm just gonna come and have a good time. I may
Yeah,
do a little bit of some video stuff to show back later, but
yeah,
I'm just gonna be there to have a good time and come meet Donald, come meet Scotty, come, all the people that are going to be there.
Absolutely,
Sheesh. I
man.
mean, there's just, I mean, I can't wait to just go there for the networking portion and get to actually see everybody in person.
Yeah, and you're gonna have to stop by. We'll put you on the air for a while. We'll just
Hell yeah.
chat, man.
I'll
And of
definitely,
course,
man.
I'm gonna bring my mom. So we're gonna be up there, and man, we're gonna have to go have some dinner. I ain't figured out the hotel yet that I'm gonna stay at, but I'll let you know where we're gonna stay at. We'll go get some dinner. And
As we get closer, let's kind of start talking about that kind of stuff, and
yeah,
we'll try to get close to the same. I know we already looked into flying. I think you can only fly into Omaha, so
it is.
um, yeah. So I know that part, but definitely try to find out a place that we can get close to. Like maybe we can all find a same hotel and
Yeah,
do
man.
dinner and all that good stuff.
Yeah, man. So I actually entered the military in Lincoln. So
No shit. Oh
yeah, my
wow,
so,
that's
when he
kind of
told me this,
crazy.
I said, I ain't been to my dad's grave in a long time, so on the way up, I'm gonna stop off at my dad's grave and see it
Oh
and
wow,
visit him,
that's great.
and then,
So
go on up to, Ashland and kick off a really good weekend, man.
man,
So
that's gonna be great. And you know what? Doing this podcasting thing and meeting some of these people, Nebraska is doing a lot of great things out there. They got a
they
lot of
are.
great nonprofits. I mean, people probably don't like to hear it, but they are becoming the mecca
Yep.
of the veteran world, man. I mean, and
Yeah.
they're pretty
Yeah.
central.
Yep.
So I
Contagious
know,
Effect for like 7 weeks long was like, "And another person from Nebraska."
yeah. I said something, and then I heard Eric like, "Oh, there's another, jumping on the bandwagon." But
Yeah,
it is
man.
true, man. I mean, I just keep hearing more and more. I don't know if it's just because Jason Steiner, I'm in touch with him now, and Jason's all over the place. That guy, he is a huge supporter, man.
He is.
That guy is boots on the ground, no doubt,
Yep.
and he is a big cheerleader for everybody. I love that guy,
Yep.
and that's why
Yeah.
I try to give him as much support as I can, and try
And
to,
and that's what I'm saying,
I'm
man. These
hoping
five
that thing turns into the place to be.
Yeah, man. And that's what I'm saying. These 501(c)s, these mom and pop 501(c)s, I'm not talking about the big guys, and I'm not taking nothing away from the big guys. Tunnel for
Yeah,
Towers, Wounded Warrior, they all do great things. But
right.
these mom and pops, these ones that have a very small limited budget, I think the quality of help that they provide is light years ahead of everything else because they don't
It's
have
way
all
more
the
intimate
corporate
too.
problem. Yeah.
Right.
And that's what
It's
it
way more
needs.
intimate
What it
and way
needs to
more
be.
personal,
Yep.
and because damn near everybody who knows Hero Stock knows Jason Steiner, right? I
Yeah.
mean, because he will talk to everybody. That guy doesn't have a problem, being friendly with anybody, and he's very
Yep.
personable. But
Yeah, man.
yeah, these guys, the relationship that you find with these smaller nonprofits, like you said, the outreach that they're getting, I think it's way more of a personal level, and that
Yep.
the people getting the help feel, like, wow, man, this dude really does care,
Yeah, man. Yeah,
or
and
she really cares, whatever.
they figure out how to make their dollar go way farther.
Absolutely.
And that's what I love about it, man. Because you know, look at Wheels for Vets. I think they were the first group I had on that can honestly say 100% of everything they make goes to the vets. They don't even cover their traveling expenses from that fund. They all pay for themselves. So like
Wow.
if they have a bike that somebody donated that's 1,000 miles away, they pay for their own gas and maintenance and everything else for their vehicles to go pick up that bike and bring it back. The only thing that money
Wow.
goes for is the bike that they're building to give to the veteran.
That's
So,
so awesome, man.
dude, I mean, there's not very many people that can say that.
See, and that's one thing about the podcasting, though. After a while, you start talking to these guys, and you feel like, man, maybe I ain't doing enough because,
Yeah,
damn,
yeah,
some of these guys are out there. They're so selfless with their
yep,
time and everything, and their dedication and stuff. Like, uh, and it just I every time I talk to some of these guys, they just blow me away with their dedication, how much they love it, and they're
yeah,
involved in it. I mean, for you to do a nonprofit, you definitely got to love it, and you got
yeah,
to have passion for it.
Yep.
And I mean, every one of them I'm coming across, man, I'm just like, wow, these guys, they just really touched me, and they're all inspirational.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I agree, man.
I appreciate you, Donald. Is there anything else, man, you want to say before we get on?
Uh,
Uh, dude, I really appreciate you coming on.
I appreciate you
I
having me, man.
appreciate
I'm a
everything you're
fan of the
doing.
show.
Oh man, I appreciate that. I'm a big fan of yours too, Donald. Dude, you're a great guy, a great hero, and you're doing great things. Um, I know anytime I could just sit there and talk all day with you. We were on probably about 30 minutes before we started recording,
Yeah, man.
so we could talk forever. But Donald, thank you so much once again, my friend. And I know
Thank
this
you.
is going to be the last of us talking.
No,
But
absolutely, man.
once again, I thank you so much for your time. And if you could just hold tight, I'll be right back with you in a second.
All right, man. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Donald. All right, friends and fam, that wraps up another great interview. Donald Dunn is out there doing some great things. If you guys can please go out there, check him out. This is his website. All right. Two drunk dudes in a gun room.com. All right. And then you can also listen to Gun Room Radio. There is the link for that. Definitely want to check it out. Go support veterans. It is a great station, great music. I have discovered some new artists just by listening to myself. So check it out. So once again, everybody, thank you guys so much for tuning into Every Day's a Saturday with your host, me, myself, and I, Brian Roof. Until next time. Arr.